Hello, team. All right, so let's talk about what we're doing today. You are going to work on another meal paragraph. So we're going to spend a little bit of time going over your previous one and just kind of talking through some things that we don't quite have the hang of yet, which is totally fine. This is a new thing that you're learning. We don't expect you to know every single little nitty gritty part of it the first time through or even the 10th time through. Like, you're learning this, so be patient with yourself, okay? So we're going to work on that together in class today, and then the rest of the time you'll have the space to actually do your own paragraph. So we're going to be looking at things that we did really, really well, and then some areas where we just want to kind of go back and talk about what we should be doing there, making sure we all understand what the expectation is. So overall, when we were looking at your first meal paragraphs, you all did a wonderful job at restating our question. It was very, very clear. The evidence you chose was amazing. Almost everybody gave a specific piece of evidence from the book. And you guys also did a really great job at the end of your paragraph linking the evidence you chose back to your main idea. And that's a really hard thing to do. So we were super impressed that first time out, you guys were really getting a hang of it. So we're going to look specifically at a couple of examples before you start writing your next paragraph so that you know what we're expecting when we grade. All right. So we're going to look at an M, okay? And I want you to look at this, and we have the rubric up in the lesson for you too, so you can pull this up at the same time. So look at the rubric for the meal paragraph and see if you can figure out what the 3 is missing. Why isn't it a 5? So pause the video and look at that. Okay, so the 3 is missing 2 things. It's missing the side of the argument that it's coming down on. So in this case, it would be, is it important, or it's necessary, or whatever. And then it's also missing that specificity. So you see how it says here, the central idea is that there can't be true friendship without trust. That's a very, very specific point that you're trying to prove. So when you're writing your topic sentence for a meal paragraph, it should be that specific, because it's basically you're trying to back up what you say in the first sentence. Okay, so let's then look at how you do that when you're using evidence, okay? So again, pause, take a look at the rubric, and see if you can figure out why is the 3 a 3 and why is the 5 a 5. Okay, so if you think you figured it out, let's talk about it a little bit. On our rubric, one of the things that we need to do is make sure that we put the quote in context. So as a reminder for you, that means when we're talking about what happens in the book at this time. So the 5-point example is the one that has that. It says, when Charlie meets Patrick and Sam at the football game. So it tells us very, very clearly what's happening in the story at the point when this quote comes up. Okay. Our rubric also asks us to use good linking words, and both the 4 and the 5 have that. So good linking words in the 4-point example would be in the passage it states, and good linking words in the 5-point example would be Patrick says. So you can do it either way. You can say in the text it states, in the passage it states, or you can identify the speaker. Okay. And then finally, we have our actual quote, right? And we all did really well with that part. So we don't need to go over that piece of the E because you guys did great. Okay, so tomorrow you're choosing from one of the, or for your meal that you're going to start today that's due Monday, you're going to choose one of these 2 questions. So we want to know, why did Charlie fight for Patrick in the cafeteria even though no one was talking to him? Or why are his friendships with Sam and Patrick so important to Charlie? All right. And then when we go back to the M, I want to remind you You're restating the question and you're being really, really clear about the reason and the argument that you're giving. Okay. So we're going to work on our meal outline just like we did before. And you remember that checklist on the side has everything that you need. And if you scroll down from that meal outline, you'll see it gives you some sentence starters that you might use. And it also gives you some things that you might want to think about when you're doing that analyzation piece to help you kind of dig more deeply and write more. Okay. So when you're ready, you can go ahead and get started.